Essay number 56. 16 ways suppressed emotions are appearing in your life. What if I told you that the emotions you're desperately trying to ignore are actually running your entire life from the shadows? That anger you swallowed at work, that sadness you pushed down last week, they didn't disappear. They're still there, pulling the strings like invisible puppeteers. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to talk about. We're all emotional suppressors. Every single one of us. And while you might think you're being strong or professional by pushing down your feelings, science says you're actually making everything worse. In 1988, psychologist Daniel Wegner ran an experiment that changed everything we know about suppression. He told one group, "Don't think about a white bear. Just don't." The other group, they could think about whatever they wanted. Guess which group couldn't stop thinking about white bears? This is called the rebound effect, and it proves what mystics have been saying for centuries. What we resist persists. But here's where it gets really interesting. Your emotions aren't just feelings, they're survival mechanisms. They're your internal GPS system, designed over millions of years of evolution to keep you alive and thriving. So when you suppress them, when you tell them they're wrong or inappropriate, you're essentially putting duct tape over your check engine light while your car is on fire. And look, I get it. Nobody taught us this stuff in school. We learned algebra, but not how to process grief. We memorized state capitals, but not how to handle rage. So we do what humans always do with the scary unknown. We avoid it. But here's the plot twist. You can't actually suppress emotions. You can only redirect them. And when you don't choose where they go, they choose for themselves. So let's talk about the 16 ways these suppressed emotions are showing up in your life right now. And I promise you, at least half of these are going to hit uncomfortably close to home. First, your self-image is completely polarized. You know this one. Monday, you're convinced you're God's gift to humanity. Tuesday, you're wondering why anyone even tolerates your presence. There's no middle ground. You're either a superhero or a super zero, and this exhausting pendulum swing, that's suppressed self-doubt and shame playing ping pong with your ego. Second, you feel anxious before every social situation. Not because you don't like people, but because you can't just exist. You have to perform. You have to be on, because somewhere deep down, you believe the real you isn't enough. That suppressed inadequacy talking, convincing you that authenticity equals rejection. Third, you catastrophize everything. Your boss makes one critical comment and suddenly you're updating your resume. Your partner forgets to text back and you're mentally planning the breakup speech. One small thing goes wrong and your brain immediately fast forwards to the worst possible ending. This isn't just anxiety. It's suppressed fear demanding to be heard, screaming that if you don't prepare for the worst, you'll be destroyed by it. Fourth, you exist only in comparison to others. You can't just be smart. You have to be smarter than Sarah. You can't just be attractive. You have to be the most attractive person in the room. Your worth has become a leaderboard, and that's because you're suppressing the fundamental fear that you, just as you are, might not be enough. So you turned life into a competition where the prize is validation you'll never actually feel. Fifth, you cannot tolerate being wrong. A simple mistake becomes an identity crisis. Admitting error feels like admitting you're worthless. Why? Because you've tied your entire self-worth to being right. And that's what happens when you suppress the very human experience of imperfection. You've made fallibility your enemy, which means you've made humanity your enemy. Sixth, you have random, volcanic eruptions of rage. Someone leaves a dish in the sink and you explode. The Wi-Fi lags for 3 seconds and you want to throw your laptop out the window. These aren't really about the dishes or the Wi-Fi. These volcanic eruptions over nothing, that's months or years of suppressed anger finally finding a crack in your armor. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Eventually, it's going to shoot up and hit someone in the face. Seventh, you complain constantly about everything. The weather, the traffic, the coffee, the government, your job, that TV show ending, literally everything. But you're not really angry about these things. You're subconsciously begging the world to notice that you're in pain. Complaining becomes your only acceptable way to express that something's wrong, because admitting what's actually wrong would mean feeling it. Eighth, you're chronically indecisive. Choosing a restaurant takes 45 minutes. Picking a Netflix show is a 3-act drama. You can't trust your own judgment because suppressed self-doubt has convinced you that you'll inevitably choose wrong. Every decision becomes a test you're destined to fail, so you freeze, hoping that not choosing will protect you from the consequences of choosing poorly. Ninth, you procrastinate constantly, but you're not lazy. You're in a constant state of internal conflict. Part of you wants to move forward, but suppressed fear keeps hitting the brakes. So you stay stuck in this exhausting push-pull that looks like procrastination, but feels like civil war. You're not avoiding the task. You're avoiding the emotions the task might trigger. 10th, you'd rather feel superior than connected. Connection requires vulnerability, but vulnerability requires feeling, so instead you choose superiority. It's lonely at the top, but at least it's safe from all those messy emotions you're avoiding. You've traded love for the cold comfort of being better than. 11th, when someone succeeds, you immediately find their flaws. Your friend gets promoted and your first thought is, well, they probably kissed up to the boss. Someone shares good news and you immediately find the problem with it. That's not jealousy. It's suppressed grief about your own unrealized dreams. Their success is a mirror showing you what you haven't allowed yourself to pursue. 12th, your relationships end for the same reasons, over and over. Different relationship, same fight. Different job, same burnout. Different city, same problems. You keep thinking time will fix these patterns, but time can't heal what you refuse to feel. You're not actually having new experiences. You're having the same experience with different people, hoping for different results. 13th, you're resentful of everyone you think is responsible for your pain. It's your parents' fault, your ex's fault, the economy's fault, everyone's fault but yours. Not because you can't take responsibility, but because acknowledging your role means feeling the emotions that come with it. Blame is just pain looking for a home that isn't yours. 14th, you feel like you can't really open your heart. You want love, but you've built Fort Knox around your heart. You can get close to people, but not too close. There's always that last 10% you hold back because true intimacy requires emotional availability you've suppressed. You're offering people a photograph of yourself while hiding the real you in a vault. 15th, you suffer from spotlight syndrome. You're convinced everyone's watching, judging, invested in your every move. Newsflash, they're not. They're too busy worrying about their own spotlight. But suppressed shame makes you feel like you're always on stage, one mistake away from total humiliation. You've turned life into a performance where you're both the actor and the harshest critic. 16th, you're afraid to move on, even though you desperately want to. You're ready to leave mentally, but you're emotionally stuck. You know what you need to do, but you can't do it. That's because your mind has moved forward, but your suppressed emotions are still anchoring you to the past. You're trying to drive forward while your emotional emergency brake is still engaged. Here's what nobody tells you about emotions. They're like water. They'll always find a way out. You can build a dam, but eventually the pressure becomes too much. The question isn't whether they'll surface, it's whether you'll choose how they surface. The good news? Recognizing these patterns is the first step to breaking them. Every single one of these behaviors is just a messenger, trying to tell you something important about what you need to heal. That anger isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to show you where your boundaries have been violated. That sadness isn't weakness. It's wisdom about what matters to you. That fear isn't cowardice. It's your system trying to protect you the only way it knows how. Your emotions aren't your enemy. They're your oldest friends, trying to keep you safe in the only way they know how. Maybe it's time to stop fighting them and start listening instead. Because the truth is, the only way out is through. And the life you want, it's on the other side of the emotions you're afraid to feel. Every pattern you're stuck in, every reaction you can't control, every relationship that keeps failing the same way, they're all just unprocessed emotions trying to process themselves through your life. The most radical thing you can do in a world that teaches you to suppress, numb, and ignore? Feel. Simply feel. Not forever, not dramatically, but honestly. Because those emotions you're running from, they're not trying to destroy you, they're trying to free you.